know you did. Walking around with a crippled leg, that bitch boy tried to test my shit. Fucking with the wrist on kick. MAGNOLIA, that is where your ass was.
The Porsche 911 991.1. What makes this car special right off the bat? If you look at the Porsche 911 lineups and where they've gone, this is the last of the NA motor 911s. They stopped making these, I think, when they moved to the 991.2, first turbocharged 3-cylinder flat. These S variants, which this is, you can get this in the 3.8, which used to be the size of the GT3 motor. This is the 395 horsepower technically. I think 325 pound-feet of torque, and it revs all the way past 7,000, 7,500 RPMs. So really, a mastery in natural aspirated engineering, and where it ended for Porsche, besides the GT3 and GT series of cars which they're making now.
I took a loss, but you still gon' get beat. You still gon' get beat. How much it costs? It never been cheap. It never been. Turn your click up, dog. Turn them on, turn your bitch up, dog. Turn around, tiny streets can't cross it. Cross them on, all these street need bosses.
This one particular, PDK. You know, best automated clutch box available, but I will not say the most reliable. I actually had to do a full PDK out sensor replacement, which I ended to opt just to replace the entire PDK. And the thing about PDK is Porsche builds all the sensors on the inside of the box. So what happens is if the sensor goes bad, the shaft thinks that, you know, it loses its ability to shift to that shaft, and there's two shafts and clutches. And so my reverse first, third, fifth, and seventh went out on me. Quite a costly repair if you don't have extended warranty, which I did not, or a warranty on the vehicle. I think I came out of pocket $7,000. You can be between $7,000 and $9,000 if you get it at a indie shop, or if you go to Porsche and get the full PDK, you're looking at like 16 grand to 18 grand, something like that. There she is, looking pitiful. So gave up the ghost. Let's see if we can. Not my greatest days with this car. What does this car have? I have the sports exhaust, so you get the full plethora button. You got the sports exhaust option to open up the exhaust. I've got the suspension option to go from sports suspension to standard suspension, which is soft. Sports works great. This I have the sunroof, but it's the painted sunroof, so there's no light coming in, but you can still open the sunroof, which is nice, and you get the Alcantara top, and they still paint it, so it looks like there's no sunroof. Driving. Now, I've owned quite a few cars, and when I say quite a few, well into the 20 different cars. I think the most comparable to this, it's hard to say. It's a 3,100 pound vehicle putting down nearly 400 horsepower. They don't really make anything out of the factory like that. It competed in its day with like the E92, but that's a 3,700 pound vehicle. I had the 135i twice, and that was 3,300 pounds. I guess a little more similar, but this makes power in a way and a sound that is absolutely addictive. I would absolutely recommend this motor, this car, this variation, just little things to know. The 991s.1 had a cutover valve issue where I think I have a coolant light on. It's like a yellow light that'll pop on. It's just saying that cooling system fault, but what really happens is they have valves that flip over like this exhaust button, and sometimes they go bad and you got to switch out the valves as they go bad. So that's a thing. The 991.2, the turbo variation of this chassis, those had actual water. I think it was the pump, water pumps issues, which is a little worse. So choose your poison. If you want a turbo, you don't want a turbo. If you want a 991 chassis, those are what you got to deal with. Motor. This motor was in the 991.2 997.2 after they fixed the throwout bearing issue that was blowing those motors up in the first gen, the dot ones. So this motor is damn near bulletproof, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised if this motor ran well into the 300 to 500,000 mile range. The way it's built is not using the latest technology, but it's not putting too much power for a 3.8. You're not even putting 10 horsepower per 0.1 liters of displacement. So that's really good. So if you watch any of my videos, you probably know that I got a job at Porsche Cars North America right before the pandemic. And that's around the time when I got the Boxster, and then I brought home a 911 one time, a 991.2. What's up? We went to Helen on a road trip, and my wife begged me to get one. So long story short, she swore that we had to have one, and that's how I ended up, turning in the Boxster, sold that to my father-in-law, and now I have the 911 brown on brown spec. The Boxster, a much more neutral, better handling vehicle, I won't say much lighter, just a little bit lighter, probably 2,800 pounds. I had the base 981 all motor, so the motor's very similar sound, power completely different. Handling, I'll say the Porsche torque vectoring, which I don't think I have in this 911, is a big deal, especially on that Boxster. It handles so flat around turns, and the 911 you can kind of tell that the motor's in the back. But the big advantage for a 911 is when you're going hard into a corner, you brake because the weight split is so far in the back. What happens is a pendulum, the weight transfer comes to the direct middle, and you have a almost completely neutral car in the 991. So my car, when I got it, was at the beginning of the pandemic, I think 2020, actually right around the end of 2020, before 2021, so a little ways into the pandemic. Yeah, man, I went from an S2000, a Boxster 981 manual base with all the suspension upgrades. I had a Z4M coupe at the time that I had swapped out for that Boxster, and I think so. I paid $43,900 or something like that for 103,000 miles, S model, brown on brown, one owner, full leather with the very rare Bowers and Wilkins audio, stereo, PDK, sports chrono. And at the time, I remember trying to find the vehicle, an S sports chrono, and Porsche was doing a recall on all the sports chrono because the emissions was having an issue. But I don't think the dealer in Colorado, I think it was a Chevy dealer, had any idea that was a thing, and he never sent it over to Porsche. So it was available. It was one of the only S model PDKs with sports chrono available at the time. And I paid $43,900. I think I had it shipped out, well, $43,500 maybe. I had it shipped out here for another $700 to Georgia. All right, picking up some sort of mud or scrape or something. This is a painted top, it looks like. So he didn't option the sunroof. There is film here. Oh, she needs a wash immediately. Yeah, it's like dirt. Look at that. Okay. Wow, she's dirty. Looks good. Okay. And yeah, I shit you not, no more than maybe 6 months. Prices went wild on cars, used cars, you know the story. Car shot up to $55,000, $60,000 car. I mean, it's since then came down. Funny story, I was driving it where I am now, Taylor the Dragon, last year, August, same time, around the same exact time. And my PDK blew up, like I told you. And I haven't seen the car since then. But I got it back, and prices have thus calmed down. It's now, what, a $50,000 car at, I got about almost 128,000 miles. So not a bad return on investment. So I'd say, as far as throwing money away on a vehicle, Porsche 911s, you could do a lot worse. Even the 996s, which is the ugly ducklings, have started to come up in value, and the 997s as well. So I really don't know a bad value proposition right now as far as 911s. It just seems like they're just loved, and they have this community and this following with people with enough capital that the value doesn't fall. And that also helps on insurance and keeping it away from people who are going to rag it out. Wardrobe change. Yeah, so the problem with cheaper cars like the S2000 when they fell so low is everybody bought them up, started crashing them, ragging them out. Now you can barely find unmolested, unmodified S2000s, and even now the prices are going up on the ones that weren't crashed and clean title. So that's good. You've also got not well known to the public Porsche reliability. I do know the 997s were a bit of a stain in the late 996s, but and besides the GT3 991.1 where the motors were grenading, usually Porsche and their 911s are bulletproof. When I was at PCNA, I think I used to see regularly people who had air-cooled motors that had ran 200, 300,000 miles, maybe a rebuild, maybe even on the stock motor. So that's never really been an issue, and they don't nickel and dime you like BMW, where constantly little bitty things are going wrong. That said, if I get into the maintenance and the cost of ownership on a high mileage 100,000 mile example, you're looking at, not counting the sales price of what I bought it for, from when I bought it, I think right around 118,000 miles, it was time for the big service, the ignition coil spark plugs, and I think so engine, oil, ignition coil, spark plugs, and cooling hoses. I think that ran me, because I didn't do the work myself, I think that ran me like $2,000. And then there was an issue where somebody, I'm not gonna say myself, but the previous owner might have hit a bump really hard, and it kind of cracked the holding for the fuel pump. And so the fuel pump was sideways in the fuel tank, and it killed both the fuel pumps. And so that was a failure that we did not foresee. Not common at all by anything, but that was another, $2,500. And last but not least, the PDK failure cost me another $9,000. That was with buying the PDK, the labor, programming the ECM, and then I think another repair included in that was the engine latch for the back. The cabling and the release did not work, so I had to replace that. So all in all, not cheap to own, but I'd say I probably get back, or close to get back, what I bought it for, or put into it.